Hello, listeners, and welcome once again to another episode of 177 Nations of Tasmania. An 18-year-old Bosnian girl meets a man from small-town Tasmania through MySpace. They fall in love quickly, and at 22 years of age, she is on the other side of the world, living in Launceston, Tasmania, where they have got married without telling her parents. Sounds like a story from a romance novel, doesn't it? But these are some of the events in Mia's journey from Bosnia Herzegovina to Tasmania. The whole story, of course, is a bit less neat and tidy compared to a romance novel, as you will hear. In brief, though, Mia was born in the town of Novi Travnik in central Bosnia Herzegovina. At the time, it was still part of a fast fracturing Yugoslavia, and Mia was 4 years old when her father sent her, her mother and other family members away to Croatia to escape the impending fighting. So Mia grew up and was educated in Croatia, but never let go of her Bosnian identity. Settling in Tasmania has been less than smooth at times, and in this episode you will hear how Mia coped with some of the challenges of being a naive 22-year-old on a very steep learning curve.
I was born in Travnik, which is an old town close to Sarajevo, to give you a bit of a reference, middle of Bosnia. So being born in Travnik and then living in a village between Travnik and Novi Travnik, well, I actually remember more from my first 4 or 5 years of life than I remember what happened yesterday. The memories that I have are quite clear, and I believe it's because of the place. And the place that I grew up in is just like a little village in the middle of nowhere, that it's just a big long street with all the neighbours knowing each other, and all the kids are constantly always on the street riding bikes up and down, and I remember the feeling of feeling free and the happiest I've ever been in my life, and everyone loving me, and everyone paying attention to me, and just I've never ever in my life, and I've been to a few places in my life, I've never had that feeling again, of feeling like I felt where I grew up in my first 4 years of life. So the village, even though it's nothing special, there's a little town next to that village, which is what I said, it's called Novi Travnik. It's where my dad had his a couple of cafes, and he was a bit of a, I guess, he was the man in town, and everyone knew him, therefore everyone knew who I was. And again, I didn't even have to be in the village that I grew up in. If I went to Novi Travnik, everyone knew who I was. Again, everyone was paying attention to me. Mum's a Muslim, Dad's a Bosnian Catholic. They met hitchhiking, and he was driving with his friend in this, brand new car, because he already had a little bit of money by then. My dad opened a cafe in Novi Travnik called Grand. It was quite of a popular bar in Novi Travnik and central Bosnia. He also had a business where he bought a lot of, the flipper machines.
Pinball.
Yeah, pinball. Yeah, flipper. We call it flipper.
Okay.
Yeah, so he bought a bunch of them and he installed them in all different pubs and cafes around Bosnia. And then he would go from one town to another and collect the money. So if you imagine today, arcades, pretty much the same thing. So he was, in the 80s, he was the first one to do that, and he did really well, opened the bar himself, bought himself, a new car and all that. So he went out with his friend, and Mum was hitchhiking with her friend, and he wasn't attracted so much he was attracted to my mum, but he thought that she would be out of reach. So I better try with the other one because I'll probably have more chance. Okay. But I think he got gutsy and said to himself, I'll do it, I can do it. And he fooled her completely for the next 37 years. Okay. She would tell you the same. Because my mum is a Muslim and my dad a Catholic, and her parents, even though they weren't against Catholics or anything like that, it's still... there's a notion that you stick with your religion, you stick with your people. So, and him being, wealthy and flamboyant and, out there, they saw that he probably isn't the greatest fit. So she would hide from her parents and sneak out and, go meet him and whatever. And I only found this out in September, But she had a fiancé at that time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I had no idea. Apparently, they were going for a long time, but my dad was apparently really pushy. And according to her words, he was more fun than her fiancé. Big mistake. Don't go for fun guy. Go for super boring. Yeah, so she got pregnant, surprise, and her parents found out, and obviously the next step is marriage. But her parents, they actually didn't want my mum to even after she got pregnant, to go with my dad. Like, they would help her. They would help her with everything. Just don't go there. But she did. And don't take me wrong, like, my parents eventually grew to love my dad, and he was a great support for them. And, you know, he can be charming, and he can fool you. And in terms of things working out at the end, like in hindsight, you can now see that if my mum did not marry my dad, there is a potential that she could have been dead, like, because the village she was in was quite bombarded quite a bit, and there's another horrifying story to that as well. And if she didn't have my dad, who helped with money, who helped with escape, who helped her family to survive during the war, like, you have to have money. Like, you can't do anything without money. If you're stuck, they were stuck in tunnels for years and years, you know, just living in the dark and getting out when they need to get some supplies when it's safe. So you got to have money to be able to trade. And that was great. My dad being able to help out with that was a great deal to my whole family, I guess. So in a way, if that didn't happen, like, there's a lot of other things that wouldn't happen either. Also, so in the war, my Muslim family pretty much stayed in that village that was shelled, and there's a lot of destruction there. Before the war started, probably like 5 hours before the war started, before they started shooting at each other, my aunt, my mum's sister, she had her baby boy. I think he was 1.5 years, and so you've got one village and you've got another village that's like 10 minutes away, and her husband's sister lived there, so she gave the baby to her husband's sister just to take care of him and have him for a little bit, as you would. And in that time that he was over there, the war started, and she didn't see her child for another 1.5 years, and that was quite traumatizing for my aunt, as it would be, you know, imagine hiding in tunnels, not knowing if your child's alive or not, your only son. Is he okay? Like, there's no telephones, there's no communication or whatever. But eventually UN intervened and set up a ceasefire where my aunt was able to have her son back. And even though that was fantastic, that was great, it left her traumatized for the rest of her life. She's been diagnosed with schizophrenia, bipolar. She takes a lot of medication. She's like a vegetable for the last 25 years. Educated woman, beautiful, but completely deteriorated after that. Like, her life was completely wasted to the point she couldn't take care of my cousin. My dad organised my mum and me to leave Bosnia in 1991, so just before it started getting really, really bad. What prompted him to make that decision was the fact that Mum and I were out, and we parked our car in one spot that was decided because the other spot wasn't available. And if we went to the spot first that wasn't available, it was bombed 10 minutes after. So he realised, like, this can happen anytime. We were so lucky to escape that. I remember being in basements and listening, like, I can still hear the sound, even though I haven't seen it. Like, I haven't seen people killing each other, or haven't seen the blood. Maybe I have, but I don't have it in my memory today. I can remember the environment and the feeling and all of that. Yeah. So Dad arranged for us to travel to Croatia, which I remember like it was yesterday. I was only 4. Yeah. I remember driving the car and just asking, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And we got, Mum and I, we arrived in this spot in Croatia called Trogir. But it's an amazing place. And because, like I said before, my dad did have money, so we didn't have to stay in a refugee camp that was designated for everyone else. We stayed in a motel that was right next to the refugee camp. Best year of my life. Like, not knowing what's going on, obviously. So I can say that because I had no clue. And I spent a year, I think, with our dad. He was in the war. But I didn't really like feel it, or my mum was there, my aunties were there. My aunties actually lived, my dad's sister and her family lived in Trogir then. So we were able to, get help that way as well. But in that motel, we had UN soldiers staying there as well. And me being a kid and cheeky and that, they loved me. And I remember they twisting me around and buying me gum and all sorts of things. And the refugee camp was fantastic as well because there was so many kids there as well. So I'd spend my whole day just in the refugee camp. I didn't have to, but I did because I loved it. And people were playing sports, and I managed to get myself, help mums in a way, I guess, and get myself a nanny by myself. So after my sister was born in 1992, my dad managed to come to Croatia as well, and he bought an apartment in Zagreb, the capital, and we lived there ever since. I always had a sense of not belonging in Zagreb, always, even though I had a bunch of friends and I'm an extrovert. I do enjoy socializing and all that sort of stuff. But I never felt like I belonged. And there was often like words coming from other, bullies. There's always bullies. Like, I'm from Bosnia. I'm probably like a lower class or something like that. I don't know, whatever they perceived that it is. And usually comes from the parents, and then the kids hear, and then they bring it to school. But I always fought for my rights. Like, if it was a boy, I'd bash him straight away. Like, school for me was fantastic. I was a straight A student, but I was also a troublemaker. It was a maths gymnasium. It was the first school in the whole of Croatia, like the best school. Gymnasium is a high school, but it's all different subjects.
But it's more academic
focus? Yes, exactly. So with gymnasium, you can become a doctor, architect, dentist, pharmacist, whatever. Whereas you have other high schools, you have art or music high school, or you have economy high school, and you only study those things that are going to lead you to one direction.
Yep.
So I went to maths gymnasium, which is maths like 4 days a week and physics 3 days a week, whereas other gymnasiums would have only 1 hour a week. Mine was full on maths and full on physics, which I freaking hated. And I had to go to this school because my dad thought that being amongst all the nerds will have, sorry nerds, they were awesome by the way, that it would improve my behaviour, my rebellious behaviour, that it's going to tame me. But he did the opposite, because I just found an opportunity within an opportunity to do trouble. Because everyone was just studying all the time, and everyone was great at everything. And I suppose I just, becoming a hormonal teenager, I just wasn't interested at that. Like, I liked studying, I liked learning, but, I not to that point.
Yeah.
Luckily, my class was the only class, I think, in a whole generations of the whole school that was really alternative. So we had a lot of hippies and a lot of punk and heavy metal, like all different kinds. And not every other class was just nerds. And my class, for some reason, it was everyone. So that was lucky. And then there was various incidents where I would get in trouble. But one of the main one, and this was teacher's fault, like totally. I don't take any responsibility for it. That she would trust me to do such a important task of getting me to put everyone's grades into a computer system as they are recorded in the book for every classroom. And I just thought it's a perfect opportunity to change it all and to give all the great kids bad marks and lots of attendance. So I would get them like low attendance, and then the kids who wouldn't do as good, I would give them all the A's and great attendance and all of that. And I thought it was great fun. No one's going to find out, only the parents, and they're going to have a laugh and all this sort of thing. And then I went to the pub after, that was like mid-year, everything was finished. So we were just about to go on a Christmas break for 2-3 weeks. And the president of the class gave me a call while I was having a beer after school. That was our usual thing. After school in high school, we all go to a pub and we have a beer. Mm-hmm. Unusual here, I know, but it was great fun. And he called me and he said, Mia, okay, you have really outdone yourself now. I don't think you can get away with this one. I think you need to call your mum and dad. And I'm like, what? What have I done? The whole board was just talking about you and that you've changed everyone's records. And now they have to spend time as well of correcting all of their reissuing all the reports. So they're going to decide what your future in this school will be after the Christmas break. So I spent the whole Christmas break but I called my dad the same day and I said, look, Dad, this is what I've done. And he was on a ski trip at that time. And he said, look, I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of the ski lane. I can't talk to you now. You've got yourself in this trouble again and you have to get yourself out of it because I can't help you out. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? No, I don't even have my dad's support. Yeah. And then just waited until the semester started again, and I had to go to the principal's office a few times for a conversation to determine what my problem is. I made sure I look like a crazy person, thinking that will get me out of trouble if he thinks that I'm crazy. But yeah, my dad did. So I haven't turned 18 yet by the time high school finished, and I remember him and I driving in the car, and he said, "Can I please stop? That I've done absolutely everything wrong that I could possibly do," and listed the things that I did. And he said, can you please just stop now? And then I left.
How did it all start, this journey to coming to Tasmania?
Okay, wow. How did it start? So I was never into boys much. Like I had actually, this is interesting. My first boyfriend, my first love was Bosnian. Mm-hmm. So I lived in Zagreb. I know this boy since I was, 7. Our families knew each other, and my auntie that lived in Trogir, she was a friend with his mother, like really good friends. So I'd see him sometimes in summer, and the crush developed, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Like I was, all those years, I'm living in Zagreb, which is like 8 hours from Novi Travnik. He's there. But all those years, even we would lose connection, and then because you didn't have phones up until a certain stage where we could chat over the phone. But so I fell in love with Bosnian. My dad obviously wasn't happy about it. He read my diary and
oh really?
Yes, he photocopied it as well, so he could point out later on. Look, it's wrong in these days to think like that, but I suppose if you knew my dad, you'd see it as perfectly normal thing for him to do. Mm. And I was stupid enough to leave it on the mattress while it was gone. So, and he was moving a house, so it's not like he was searching for it, trying to excuse him. But anyways, he found out about all of that, and it made it a little bit more difficult for me to pursue anything. And plus, like, I wasn't that interested. Like, I liked school more, and I liked partying and, just being with friends and being stupid and cause trouble as much as I can and see how far I can take it. And I suppose being in that scene, I told you before, I loved beer. Okay. And my friend in high school decided to open MySpace page for me. I was hesitant because I knew I wasn't going to use it, but I wrote a little about me profile, which was like, beer's my life. I do anything for beer. Anyway, Adam was on MySpace at that time as well, and he saw that, laughed, and he sent me a message saying that he's thinking about coming to that area and travel. And we just started talking, and I think second day I told him that we're soulmates. This is it. This is like, we're going to be married. Like second day, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure it was like second day or something. Or at least first week. I was adamant. Like, that's it. Like, I knew, how some things you just know. Like, I did not know this man. I saw his picture. It wasn't even a head-on picture, like straight face-to-face, but it was side-on, so I didn't even know what he looks like. But I just felt it, like there was something that told me, yeah, that's it. And 6 months later, he came over and we spent 2 months together, Zadar. We went to Split. He met my mum and sisters then. And then we went to Zagreb, where he was supposed to meet my dad. And my dad didn't like him from day one. Like, he was, not good for you.
What was his objection?
I think because Adam is a poet. Adam is a mellow soul. Like, he does have a fight in him. He will fight for his rights, but he's very romantic and not into... Adam doesn't strive to be the best. Do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't strive to be... He wants to be the best, but he doesn't strive to be like a businessman with lots of money or something like that, which I coming from a father who thinks money is absolutely everything in life, like that's all it matters. Everything that you do about life, every choice you make has to be that how much money you're going to earn. So I suppose he saw through Adam what he was like, his mannerisms and things like that. So yeah, he decided he doesn't like him, which made me like him even more. And after 2 months spending together, I saved up money. I got a job and I saved up money for a ticket to Australia, and I came to see Adam for a month or more, can't remember, while I was my uni break. And Adam was living at Binalong Bay at that time. I landed in Tasmania, Launceston, and Launceston in 2006, 2007. I saw it and I was like, what the hell is this? Like, where am I? Then I saw like these low buildings, and there's so much bush around me and dead animals on the road, and Woolies was like this derelict building, you know, the one in Kings Meadows. Everything just looked like this is like, I suppose this is like Bosnia, but just not that nice. That's what I thought anyway. And then we went to Binalong Bay, and because Binalong Bay is so secluded and you've got this beautiful ocean and, you know, you have things to admire too. So I was sort of separated from the rest of Tasmania and just enjoyed my stay over there. I met Adam's family, and they accepted me straight away. Normal family, normal people, you know, just the working class and just completely normal people, which was great. And then unfortunately I had to leave, and then I haven't been back to Tasmania for another 2 years because it took us a long time to get visa sorted out. We did have a plan for Adam to come and work in Croatia, trying to find ways, because Adam was studying to be a teacher back then. But eventually I decided, okay, it's probably better if I move, and because it will be easier for me. I can finish uni here and get my degree and get a job, and I already know the language. So my dad wasn't happy about that, obviously. My mum wasn't either. My mum wouldn't have let me, but my dad kept saying, just let her, because my dad did that my whole life. He would just let me do things and see how far I can take it. And I'm grateful for that, I am. But in a way, I'm thinking if he didn't do that, maybe if he was a little bit more not so casual about me leaving, because now I have conflicted feelings. I feel like, why did he let me leave, even though he has no right to keep me? But I'm conflicted in a way. Did he let me leave so he can have this fabulous life with my mum, and I'm out of the picture and I'm not causing trouble and all this sort of stuff? But yeah, he wasn't too happy. He wouldn't give me any money or support or anything like that. I had $1,000 when I came to Tassie, and that was my neighbour's money. They gave it to me, and I was extremely appreciative of that, and that helped me as well. And coming to Tassie, Adam was a student as well, so he wasn't earning that much money, and I think it was still recession back then in 2009. Like, there was still things picking up.
That's the worldwide financial crisis.
Yeah, that's right. So coming here, like, we didn't have much money. We lived in this tiny little unit, and things just kept happening since then. Like, I've barely had a chance to turn around. Even though we didn't get along, like my dad and I, there was always this love and hate relationship between us. We're quite similar, but we're completely different in a lot of ways. And I told you before, he used to call me a son. I was his son. He would tap me. He would meet me. This is my son, Mia. Tap me on the shoulder, and she'll be with me, and we'll be doing these things. And he had all these plans and things for his son, who never wanted to be a son, just wanted to be a normal girl. So there was a lot of conflict, but we were still tight. Like, we would still talk to each other. We would still confide in each other and things like that. I'm still struggling to decide why I have left and how I have left so young and sudden, because I had 2 sisters as well. Rina, my middle, is 5 years younger than me, and Mirella, my youngest, she's 10 years younger than me. So she would have been, I think, like 11, 12 when I left. And now I'm struggling with thinking, how did I do that? How did I leave my little sister so quick? Because it was all just like 2 years you're waiting for this Australian visa thing to happen, and you know that it's going to happen, but you don't get yourself ready to the point where you say, oh, you got your visa, now you got to go. It was like, oh my God, I got to go. Like, I got it, I have to go. And then I left, and then I was here, and everything happened just so fast. And then I suppose maybe I thought, okay, well, tickets will be cheaper and I'll be able to go back home more regular. We tried for a couple of times, Adam and I, to go there and to visit. But, as you start working, having kids and all that, it just gets a lot harder. And then we haven't been for 10 years until now, in last year.
And did you get married over there or here?
Here. We got married pretty much straight away, but I never told my parents,
right,
which was a shock to Adam's family and his mum in particular. And I haven't told them for years and years and years and years until I was pregnant, I think.
All right.
Yes. Now, people say, why are you ashamed? That's the first thing, that are you ashamed? I have no shame. Like, there's no, I don't feel shame. That's like far from it. It's not the shame. It's this crazy thought of having compassion for my parents not to find out that I'm married because they wouldn't be able to be there.
Okay.
So, and to explain that at that time, like, no one would understand for years, like, that just doesn't make sense. But to me it does. Like, I know how much suffering, because they couldn't come over just like that. Like, it was pretty much 2-3 months after I moved in here. We had to, because of the visa conditions. And I just felt sad for them that they wouldn't be able to be there, whether they disagree with the marriage or not. That's not the point, I guess. But I just... and then saying on the phone, hey, I'm getting married in 2 months. I'm sorry you can't come. You're my parents. I love you so much. My sisters, like, none of you can come, but I'm getting married. And marriage in our country is a big deal. Like, I suppose it is everywhere, but Slavic people, I don't know if you've seen their weddings. They're insane. They go crazy. So it means a lot. So I suppose there was a sense of protection that I had for them, and I didn't tell them until I was pregnant with Ezra. So, and I just slipped it, like, I think my mum saw on Facebook that I have his surname. And it's like, oh, since when are you Mia Marilja Williams? Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you we got married in, like, 2009. So, but yeah, then obviously they accepted it because it was such a long time ago that they can't do much about it.
When you first came here, you're obviously pretty young.
Yep.
I get. And what were some of the biggest challenges for you just settling into a new place?
So being 22 and so I did not know anything. I was so sheltered. Mm-hmm. My mum would not even let me go in the kitchen to learn how to make a coffee or bread. Like, she would still cut my meat on the plate. Right. My mum, being an educated woman and being controlled by her husband, not because he's a controlling person. No, it's not that. It's just that's the way. That was the way. Like, a lot of men have an upper hand. Mm-hmm. And her being educated and having option that if anything happens, she still has her education behind her. It was very important to her. So me as her first child, and I always showed an inkling that I like studying and I like learning and all of that. So she encouraged me to study all the time. She wouldn't let me do any housework, anything like that. So I came 2009, I came here. I didn't even know what a toaster is, and I had to put toast in the...
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like, and then I would undercook it, and then Adam would complain, and then I remember I wanted to make him a dish, this Bosnian dish. It's called livacha, which is like flour and eggs in milk, baked in the oven with milk and lots of salt. So when you cut it, like, you have this bread that's already been soaked in milk and there's salt, and it's delicious. People would say disgusting, probably. But I wanted to make that, and I called my mum and I said, what's the recipe? And she told me the recipe, but she didn't say to put the flour in because she thought that was common sense. So, of course, I made the whole dish without the flour, and it ended up being scrambled egg in milk. I wouldn't eat it, but Adam was kind enough to eat it because I put so much effort in. And then I called Mum and I described her what has happened, and she's like, did you put flour in? And I was like, no, like, why would I? I mean, it's bread. No, I had no, like, I could laugh at it now, but can't believe how stupid I was. But it describes you the way I was. Like, I was so sheltered. I did not do the basic things. So bad. And Adam, being a bit older than me as well, and with a lot more living experience by himself, he had a lot of patience to teach me things and how to do it. But, you know, that was a struggle. And then a struggle was living with a man who I don't really know more than what I've known him for those couple of visits and talking online for such a long time. Like, we had a pretty good insight into each other, but living again together is a completely different thing. Completely different thing, okay? I can't stress that enough. Don't get married. No, I'm joking. But it was, you know, I'm 22. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no job. I don't know if I can continue my university degree, which I've started in Croatia and done for 3 years. Maybe everyone can imagine themselves in a situation when they feel just so stuck they don't know what's the next thing and where their life is going to lead, and especially when you're so hopeless and not know anything except the stuff that you've learned from books. So I had no life experience. Haven't had a proper boyfriend ever in my life apart from Adam. So yeah, it was really hard, and it was really hard on Adam as well because he had to deal with an adult child for a lot of years. Hence his wrinkles and grey hairs and vice versa. But yeah, he struggled. He did, and I struggled with him because I didn't understand his reactions and his way of thinking, because for my whole life I only knew one way, and that's usually my way or highway because I was a lot like my dad and I was the eldest. So I could say anything what I wanted and do whatever I wanted and push boundaries as much as I want to until there's no help. And I suppose I tried the same with Adam, but he was a bit more mature, mentally stable than my dad, I guess. So he's done a lot of hard work, and we had a lot of rough times together because of my not knowing. And I can't say that he was perfect either. Don't take me wrong. He's not an angel. He's got a lot of traits that are just insanely ridiculous.
I should just mention for listeners that the Adam is sitting right here.
I'm not talking behind his back. So I found a job in the first month coming here. I went to Red Herring Surf, which, being an alternative person, I'm not a surfer, but I suppose I could be close. And I went to Red Herring, had my resume out, and got a job. Met my first bunch of people, which were awesome, and I still talk to them today. That was fantastic. But then, because I was only casual, I had to get a job somewhere else and get a full-time position, which was Proud's the Jewels in Launceston, which wasn't a very nice experience for me. It was run by quite an older management team, and, all the respect for them and the work that they've done, but they had some really bad ways of doing them as well. So I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it whatsoever. And then I got out and found more jobs, enrolled in university finally, and finished my university as a Master of Architecture, which I had quite a bit of pressure from my parents to finish, especially my mum. She never let it go. Like every day we would talk, and she would treat it like we haven't talked for a year. And then every day it's like, when are you going to get to uni? Every single day. I'm not joking. It's like, Mum, it's only been a day. No, things changed in a day, but no. So I guess that being stuck in my head, I felt obligated for my parents to do it, to finish it for my mum. I liked it. I'm good at it. So that was lucky. But whether I would be doing that now, whether that was the right choice, I would say probably not. Right. I regret it every day of my life that I did it. No, I know it's a big thing to say, but I do. Even though I'm good at it, I really am. So was it hard for me to adapt to Tasmanian culture and people? Yes and no. Yes, because I often feel the people who don't talk much, and that's a lot of Australians, are quite brief and don't talk much and don't give out too much. I feel like I can't trust that person all the way. Like I feel I have to adjust towards them. Whereas I'm different. I say everything and anything in any situation. To me, like yes, I know it's not a great thing either, but I like when people say hello to each other on the street and have a little chat. And I love the fact that you have a neighbour that you can call and say, I don't have any milk in my fridge. I'll send my kid over. Can you put a little bit of milk for this morning? I love those little community feelings, which has been really, really hard to do here. Mostly because I'm not from here. I feel like there's already groups of communities that are already settled and been situated, and they know each other. And so to succeed and to develop myself where I want to be, it's been a lot harder than it would be if I stayed home. If I stayed home, I would have every single opportunity in my life to be able to do anything in architecture or any other aspect of my life. Whereas here, I have had no support. Like, I don't know anyone. Adam doesn't know many people in Launceston either because he's from St. Mary's. And I need to be here because of my uni, and I need to get connections. But because it's such an architecture in the whole world is just such a vain circle. And then finishing uni, most of my friends left to live on mainland. So I lost those connections, if you know what I mean. I got pregnant with Ezra and I was stuck. I finished uni. What am I going to do? Like, I can't go work in retail. I'm heavily pregnant. I've got skills. I'm, great at what I do already as a graduate because I did 6 years of 2 different types of study. Like in Zagreb, I did 3 years of studying one concept of architecture, and then coming to UTAS and studying completely different spectrum of architecture. So the challenge was, yes, I remember now, I was pregnant with Ezra, and one of my mates at uni said, I'm leaving for London. I used to work at this company, Bullock Consulting. They're looking for someone with CAD skills, design skills. Would you like to have an interview? I said, well, yeah, that would be freaking awesome. Wow, I was so happy. But sorry to tell you, I'm pregnant. Like, no one's going to hire me being pregnant. And he said, oh, that's right, just come in and have an interview, like, it can't hurt. So I did, and it went great, and I made sure to say, look, I am pregnant, but I'm happy to come back to work straight away as soon as the baby's out. And them being all men, they were like, okay, that's fine then, I guess. You'll come back, leave the baby, that's fine. We'll hire you. So they did. It was awesome working in that company. It was called Bullock Consulting, but now it's called 60 Degrees. The director of 60 Degrees is a man called Chester Bullock. I told you about him. Fantastic man. He's a structural engineer, and he founded Bullock Consulting in his garage in I think it was like early 90s or late 80s or something. Lots of knowledge, lots of experience, but most importantly, just a great human being. He was like my second dad here in Tassie. He really took me under his wing and taught me a lot of things. Most importantly, how to think practically and within budget, which is constantly even though I've left Chester a while ago, I still have him in my head every day, and I swear to God, I mention him at least once or twice a week about something. He's impacted my life for the rest of my life, whether he knows it or not. He does know it. I still call him boss. Like.
So since you've been living here, how much contact have you maintained with sort of people in Bosnia?
We still have properties there that my cousin helps run one, and my mum and dad travel to Bosnia regularly to fix up the houses that are on the property in that village, Novi Travnik. I have lots of friends on Facebook that are from Bosnia. Because my grandmother was such a popular woman and such a great woman, there's only one statue in the city, Novi Travnik, and it's a statue of her.
All right.
Yeah, it's a statue of a woman with a crown. My dad arranged that sculpture to be done in the name of his mother.
Do your kids, are they interested in learning Croatian or Bosnian?
No, they hated it when I talked in Croatian. Yeah, well, you have to understand I was a working mum as well. So it's not like I was home all the time where I could say, okay, well, bad luck, I'll speak in Croatian. So what would happen is Adam's a stay-at-home dad and they speak English all day. And then I come home and there's only a few things that you can fit in that time before they go to bed. And it's usually just as easy talking English than Croatian. And then when I would speak with my mum and dad, they would always tell me to shut up or stop being so loud, or, push me away in a different room so they don't have to listen to me. But they've been to Croatia with us now, and being there for 3 months, they've picked up on a lot of things, especially swear words, which my dad loves it. Right. He's like, he still struggles, like, oh, how can you let your children swear? But then I love it as well. We have a policy: you can swear as much as you want inside the house, inside the car with our own family, but when you go outside, you're not allowed to swear. And being from Croatia and Bosnia, like, my first word was a swear word. Like, I was telling everyone off as soon as I could. So I'm not particularly strict about it, except when they're outside. But they've learned a few words and they started picking up more. And then I think if we stayed there for a little bit longer, they would actually be able to pick up. Because I speak to my parents regularly, and they hear the accent, they hear the certain words, and they can repeat it. And then, but whether they're really interested in that, no. They usually tell me to shut up or go away and complain about it, yeah. But I do play Croatian, Bosnian music in the car all the time, and they're not allowed to complain about it. There was a lot of religion influence in my life from the start, even though I never took on it. So I had a lot of religious influence from my Muslim grandparents and a lot of religious influence from my Catholic grandparents. And my dad, he's neither or, so he's a complete atheist. So I suppose living in those two environments, it made me question everything that I do and not knowing what to believe. And I guess from my earliest childhood, what I remember is that sense of not necessarily knowing who I am and where I belong. But I'm very grateful for it, because it did, at the end of the day, make me think about different possibilities in life and which directions I could possibly take in life in terms of believing and who I am as a person and what's important in my life. I do like Tasmanian people. I do like Tasmania as well. The nature, like, I've accepted it. I've learned how to be calmer, and I don't think I would learn that if I stayed home. Because I said, like, I'd probably end up being insane or a mental institution. But I have learned a lot from Tasmanian people about the need to, just take it a little bit easier, and you don't have to be so full on and rushing. It's just to chill out, and so I'm appreciative of that. And also people are quite nice. Like, I don't know if it's genuinely nice or not. Like, I'm not, I believe always that people are. And I don't have any bad experiences, I guess, apart from a couple of, just standard what every other human being goes through, I guess. But yeah, I just want to say that Tassie is a fantastic place to live in. I wouldn't want to go now anywhere else apart from Bosnia.